going on, people? Yeah, it is another episode of the Humans of Trash podcast. And tonight we're going to talk about parenting, most specifically new parenting, but not just new parents, but just parenting, period. One of the things that I'm starting to notice is that there has become there's a new way to parent. I jokingly say, I was raised in a dictatorship. And I think a lot of people from my generation and before that were raised in dictatorships. So the whole idea of questioning and having an opinion and being able to think independently out loud was non-existent. And uh, there are drawbacks to that. um it is, we weren't always as, open. We didn't always get a chance to talk, so we didn't necessarily have a worldly view of things because we wasn't really allowed to take into account what the world thought about anything, because it was all about what our parents thought. That was the end all be all. That was the law, and that's how it went down. But it seems like that is no longer the case. Like growing up, I feared my mother. I feared what she thought. I feared how she would react. I feared what she might think. I feared my mother. And looking back, I think it was a healthy fear. So but as I look at these new kids now, they don't fear nothing. They don't fear nothing, and they fear nobody. And some of you think that that is a good way to go through life. And I really don't think that's a good way to go through life, not fearing anything. I think it is very important for a human, not even just children. I think it is important for a human to have a healthy fear of certain things. I think, and one of those things as it relates to interacting with other humans, I think you have to have a healthy fear or a healthy respect, because people don't like the word fear. I get it. But a healthy respect for authority. And I don't think you new parents are teaching your kids about a healthy fear of authority. I think a lot of you new parents are teaching your kids that the only authority figure in their life is you. That's what you're teaching them. That you the end all, the be all, the alpha, the omega, and can't nobody tell you nothing. The only person can tell you something is you. And if somebody say something to them or correct your child, I wish they would say something to my child. Come get me. Well, what about when you ain't around? Your child ain't gonna act up while you around. Typically, kids act the fool when their parents ain't around. So what we supposed to do when your kid is acting a donkey and you ain't around, and the only authority figure that they respect is you? And I'm seeing it over and over and over again. I remember growing up, you would never hear kids cussing when adults were around. Even if they cussed, they would never cuss when adults around. Now these kids don't care. I've seen a 12-year-old kid, boys and girls, cuss like sailors with grown-ups right there. They would look you dead in the eye like, what? That wasn't the case when we was growing up, because they have no fear of what's going to happen from that, because the only person can check them is you. I can't say nothing to your child. As soon as I say something, now I got to fight you because I've corrected your child. And then your child don't want to be corrected because, remember, the only person who can check them is you. So when I check them, they like, who you think you talking to? So what we supposed to do with them? So now they grow up and they've been taught that can't nobody check them. And then they get in the real world. And guess what happened in the real world? The real world check the hell out of you. The real world gonna check the hell out of you. And it don't care who your mama is and who your daddy is. That's what the real world do. It's gonna check you. And they can come in several different forms, shapes, sizes. It might be the bouncer at the club who check you. It might be a teacher who check you. It might be the law enforcement who check you. It might be life. You popped off at the mouth because can't nobody check you now. The rent office check you now. They like, yo, well, your lease is canceled. We need you out. Now you got to get out. So life will check the hell out of you. But then your kids get out here in the real world and life start checking them. They start to fall apart because they're not used to it. They used to you coming to cater to them at every whim. They used to you being Captain Save a hole for every little bitty problem that they have. See, we've gotten to this place to where we don't want our kids to feel pain. And I'm not talking about like physical pain. I'm not talking about falling down, hurting the arm, and then no parent wants that. But we protect them from life's lessons. Those lessons that hurt. You know, remember he's growing up, your mom, hard head, make a soft behind. You know, all those little lessons. They don't they not we don't let them learn those lessons anymore. Like I remember one time somebody was like, well, what you do if dude mistreat your daughter? Well, as long as he's not hitting her, but just a mistreatment within the context of a relationship, or cheated on her, or not being attentive, just being a horrible boyfriend. Again, mine is hitting it because you put your hands on my daughter, I'm gonna put my hands on you. Just it is what it is. But just in a bad, she just in a relationship with a dude who just ain't treating her right. There's nothing I can do about that. And the reality is, it ain't nothing you should do about that because they got to learn. A bad relationship shows your child, this ain't what I want in a relationship. This ain't the type of person I want. I don't want to be treated like this. One of the things my mother used to always say growing up, she used to always say, you got to let grown people be grown. And I think sometimes you got to let kids be kids. You got to let them learn nothing, adversity makes you grow. Even as a species, humanity has always made its largest jumps in crisis. We've advanced in technology. When a crisis happens. Before, like in Southeast Asia, when they had the typhoons and the big tidal wave came and it rushed in the water, there weren't things in place to warn about tidal waves. Now it's all kind of technology in the ocean to let them know when the waves are coming and all. It's there, but they didn't have it before a tragedy. Even though they knew it didn't just start happening that typhoons or hurricanes can make the tide rise. That ain't just start happening. We've always known that. But until stuff get destroyed, humans don't move. We just don't move until stuff. But then when stuff get destroyed, now we got all these ideas and we building all this stuff and we got all these mechanisms, these machines. It's the same thing with your kids. Sometimes you got to let them go through the fire because it's going to make them stronger when they get out on the other end. But what we've done is we've started to not let them do that. We don't let them feel any of that. And so then you get to the question of the situation where you ask, okay, well, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? And let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give you a couple examples of unchecked children. Like what's this about?
Aria, can you come here, please? Miss T is on the way.
This what we doing? All right. So what you supposed to do with that? What are you supposed to do with that? Clearly, talking to her like you got some sense is not working. Clearly, it's not. Cause Ariel, can you? That ain't working. And I know some of y'all out here, you're not advocates for spanking. I get that. I get it. I understand you're traumatized from when you was a kid, when your mama used to like my grandma used to say, mama used to get butter from the duck. I get it. You traumatized and you think that, and I've heard all the little things where you recreating what the slave masters did to us. You creating childhood trauma and no, no, no. Throughout history, as a species, it is a fact that corporal punishment in whatever shape, form, or fashion gets results. Corporal punishment gets results. You can feel how you want to feel about it, but it got results. Corporal punishment, ass whoopings kept a race of people in check for 400 years. So don't tell me it don't work. Don't tell me it won't keep you in line or get you in line. And that's the thing about spankings or whoopings or whatever. It's not something you're supposed to, just like any other corporal punishment, it is the ultimate punishment. So it is not something that's supposed to be divvied out every day for every little small thing. The reality is, if you divvy it out at the right moments in the right way, a lot of times as they get older, you don't even have to use it that often. It truly becomes a tool that you only use on major things. So don't tell me that don't work, because it works. You can feel how you want to feel. And I know people gonna come with the sign, hitting people. This teaches people how to hit. Well, some people need to be hit. It is what it is. I said what I said. I don't care what the scientific data say. I don't care what your psychologists say. Some people need to be hit to get them in line. And I'm not saying everybody. Again, I'm not advocating for violence. But when we talk about your child, if you don't spank your child, know this. This world ain't gonna spank them either. This world gonna whoop their ass. Know this. This world is going to whoop their ass. And it's not gonna come ask you, is it okay? This world is not going to ask you how you feel about your child getting their ass whooped. It's the world just gonna do it. And then stand there and look them dead in the eye and say, what? That's what the world gonna do. Now, with so many of these types of topics, one of the things I've learned about humans is that what we tend to do is we tend to have these type of conversations in a place of comfort. And we also like to create boogeymen. That's what I always say. Everybody want to have a boogeyman. Somebody to blame for the problem instead of looking internally. That's what we always want to do. It's always somebody else's fault. And sometimes it is. But sometimes you play the role in whatever the situation is. Sometimes you are to blame. Sometimes I give you an example in relation to what we're talking about. There's this big sentiment that single mothers are to blame for a lot of the issues that we are having with kids. That's the ideology out here. That single moms are to blame because a lot of these kids are growing up in single households. So when they coming out not what we think they should come out as or how we think they should be, then it's the single mom fault because she's who raised them and yada yada yada. Okay. But here's the hypocrisy of it. Because and this is the problem, that all humans, we all are hypocritical. This is the problem with that. Is the fact that a child is created by two people, male, female, mama, daddy. Children need both parents. There's a reason for that, because the feminine energy as well as the masculine energy, they balance each other out. That men have a way of doing things, women have a way of doing things. So you put these two things together, the child learns when to use their masculine energy and when to use their feminine energy. That is where the balance comes in. So if this is the job of two people, but then it rests on the shoulders of one, then you cannot completely blame that person when the other person didn't do their part. You can't say mom did a horrible job, single mom did a horrible job, woman by herself did a horrible job, and the dude that helped make these kids not there. He not doing his part. It's like being on a football team and it's 11 players on both sides, but they making you play with 9. Of course you're going to get your ass whooped because you don't have all the pieces you need to play the game effectively. Now, we're not going to get into the reasons why that's not the case and all the stuff right here. Some people, well, the mama did this and the mama did. Listen, I don't care about none of that. If some of y'all fault it's hard for your kids as you do dudes at the club because of perceived disrespect, then we probably wouldn't even be having these type of conversations. If you put as much energy into spending time with, hanging out with, and raising your kids as you do chasing these hoes, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If you put as much energy and time into being with your kids as you do tricking off, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I don't 100% blame the mom. Are some moms out here single and still doing too much? Without a doubt. Without a doubt, it's some mamas out here who's single, raising kids by themselves and doing way too much. Without a doubt. But it's some daddies out here who live in the same city as their kids and ain't seen them all year. So don't talk to me about this. Don't talk to me about what single moms are doing. And you as the dad ain't doing this. See, this is again, but people want to have this conversation in a place where they're comfortable with. They want to have the conversation in a place that doesn't include stuff like child support and oh man, the system, the child support system. What does that got to do with you spend time with your kid? What you don't have the money. Well, I ain't got no lawyer because it takes money to fight for the kids, but you smoke weed. You find money for your weed, or you can't find money for that lawyer. You go to the club twice a month, spend about $200-300 on liquor. So you find the money for that. Why you can't find the money for this lawyer so you can get this joint custody? There are advocacy groups out here that will help you legitimize your child and help you try to fight for joint custody or custody period. That they're nonprofit. I know for a fact because about during the summertime, I did a show for one. So I know they exist. But it's too easy to create the boogeyman. It's too easy to put it all on the shoulders of the single mother. That's the easy way. That's the easy way. But again, this is about hypocrisy. Women, don't think I'm letting you off the hook because I'm advocating for single moms. I'm advocating for humans, period. I'm advocating for the kids more so than I am for either parent. You're a single mom. You're a single mom, and you unfortunately you don't have no help. Guess what you don't get to do? You don't get to go out and turn up every weekend. You don't get to do that. It just is what it is. Single moms, you can't overcompensate. You can't overcompensate. I get it. He don't have a daddy. I get it. His daddy's not involved in his life. But what you can't do is treat him like he your boyfriend. What you can't do is be calling him the king and you the queen. Because the king and the queen married. They go together. So he can't be the king. You can't treat an 8-year-old boy like he the man of the house. He's not the man of the house. He's the boy of the house. He's a child in the house. So stop telling 5-year-old boys that they the man of the house, because they're not. They're not a man. They're a boy. Stop doing stuff. Stop dressing him like the dude you used to date. Stop dressing him like his daddy. And his daddy ain't even in his life. Stop doing that. Stop talking to him all crazy because you think that's what men do. I don't have to talk to another man or my son crazy to instill manly stuff in him. My kids were almost grown before they ever even heard me cuss for real. So I just didn't cuss around my kids, and I cuss. I like to cuss. I am a cusser. But my kids never heard me curse because it didn't require that. I still stern, I still spanked, I still did all of that stuff. But it didn't require me to curse. It didn't require me to talk to them like they was dogs in the street. It wasn't necessary. Some of you single moms do that because you're trying to overcompensate. I know you feeling like you got to be strong, and it's a balance. It's a balance. You can't be the hammer every day. Single moms, you just can't. Your daughter is watching you. She's watching everything you do. And let me say this. Put a pin in that right there. This is not about you being perfect as a parent. First of all, you're human. So you're never going to be perfect. Not looking for you to be perfect. Don't want you to be perfect. So that's not what I'm saying. I don't think as a parent it's your job to look perfect. You could be the biggest hole on the face of this earth. You could be the broke, no good father. You could be all those things. But your kids shouldn't see that. Because kids don't mimic what they hear, they mimic what they see. So you could be all the trash things in the world. Your kids just can't see it. They just can't know. And again, it's your job as the parent to make sure that that doesn't happen. It is just that. Again, nobody's saying you gotta be perfect, but in your kids' eyes, you have to be setting the standard. And if you're setting the standard, that can't include you blowing weed smoke in your son's face on the way home from school. If you setting the standard, that can't be you out here with the mini skirt up your ass and your titties out. If you set the standard. Now, once you leave the house and you got on that sweater and you take that sweater off and them titties out, have at it. Have at it. But when you come back to the house, you should have on a coat. Your daughter should never know you left the house with them things out. Your son should never know you left the house with them things out. So because you got to remember, kids, they see what you do. When they see what you do, they mimic those things. And the reality, unfortunately, with kids, just like in the world, negativity and the bad stuff seems to stand out more. So it don't matter that you never have your breast out around the house. That don't matter. But that one time you did it, when you was going to the club, they seen it. They seen it. The one time you was going out to the concert and you had them out, they seen it. They seen it. So now you've established that when you're going out and you want to really look good, you gotta have your breasts out. That's what you just taught. See what I'm saying? Again, nobody's saying you gotta be perfect. But in your kids' eyes, you got to look damn near perfect. And as they get older, you can become less and less perfect because then they have more discernment. They know you ain't perfect then. You know what I'm saying? And you've established the foundation of this ain't how I get down all the time. And this ain't necessarily the way to get down. But every now and then I got to pop out and show them. They know that better when they get to be teenagers. But they don't know that when they 7, 8, 9. They don't know that. They don't get that. So all of that's built up to the type of parent you are and the type of parenting you are doing. I don't get it. And it's like, and then it's who you let your kids be around too. I don't think a lot of y'all monitor who's in the orbit of your kids, who's pouring into your kids. That's a big thing. Let me show you an example of people pouring bad into your kids.
Oh, watch out.
Now what was said? You want to go up to her face. Go up to her face. Go up to her face.
There's bees down there.
Go up to her face. Get her, Smoke. Get her.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Be mom.
Adults are sitting there while this is happening. Adults, you hear them in the background. You hear them in the background encouraging this. These are the people that are around your kids. These are the people that are around your kids. These are the people that are teaching your kids stuff. They're pouring this stuff into your kids. But it's okay. Some of y'all don't have a problem with these people being in the orbit of your kids. This is okay. But the teacher who raised their voice at your kid because your kid is out of line, now you want to come to the school and fight. You don't want to fight this lady. I got your daughter doing this. You don't want to fight her. She cool. This is funny. Well, my daughter jumped on little Tasha. Oh, that's funny. But you want to fight the teacher who jumped in your kid's chest verbally because they in school messing up. This teacher ain't jumping your kid chest because it was fun. They did it because they fighting for your child's life, for your child's future. They fighting for your kid's education. But you want to go up there and fight her, but you don't want to fight this lady. See, that's what I'm talking about. That type of stuff. You're mad at the principal. You're mad at the coach because you won't put your son in the game, but your son is trash. Your son is trash. I know he trash. You know he trash. The coach know he trash. Everybody know he trash. But you and your feelings being overprotective mom or overprotective dad. Remember I talked about that. Not wanting them to feel the fire. The reality is we all can't have what we want. What we want and what we can have and what we're going to get, what we have earned, all of those things are different. Sometimes they cross and intersect, but they don't have to be the same thing. Just because you want something don't mean you can have it and don't mean you're going to get it. I get that you want to play in the game, but you're not good enough. And the reality is, when it comes to sports, if your skill level is not up to par and who you're playing against, you might get hurt. So realistically, your coach is actually protecting your child. Because in football, if you go on the football field and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't have your head on the swivel, somebody finna knock your block off. Because this kids out there headhunting. They waiting to catch your child slipping. on the football field. That's what they waiting on. So the coach is actually protecting your child, but you don't care about your child being protected because what you want is your child to feel good. You want them to feel good about, no, they should feel that sting of disappointment from having not got into the game. Well, I went to practice all week. Well, you know how many people go to work every day, clock in, and still don't have enough to make ends meet? You think your child the only person out here busting they behind and not getting what they want or getting where they trying to be? Welcome to life. Welcome to life, son, daughter. That's life. You can bust your behind and put in all the work and still not be where you want to be. That's life. And that's what they have to learn. The earlier they learn that sometimes life is what life is, the sooner your kids are able to learn that, the easier the transition when things aren't working out is. The easier that transition is going to be in that mindset, to push through. Because it's always the other side. And no matter what you're going through, it's another side out there. It's always another side. But have you been taught to push through? Have you been taught to pack it up and keep fighting? No, you've been taught that mama or daddy finna come in, swoop in on with a cape and save them. And now the rest of us got to deal with your child thinking everybody finna bow down to them when they not feeling well or they in a bad mood. No, no. That's not gonna happen. Was probably about to happen is your child probably about to get dealt with. So what's the solution? What's the solution? If single moms ain't the boogeyman and single fathers ain't the boogeyman, is who the boogeyman? I think it is a boogeyman. I don't think nobody's hiding up under the bed, turning your kids into something that they're not. I think, like so many things in life, it comes down to balance. It's about balance. Are you balanced? Are you creating a balanced environment for your child? If the dad is not active, balance comes from uncles, positive male role models, i.e., coaches, male teachers. Are you creating a balanced environment for your child? And I think that's what it comes down to. If your environment is imbalanced, I think you create imbalanced humans. It's just that simple. If the environment that they are nurtured and brought up in is unbalanced, then they are going to be unbalanced. And that's what life is. It's going to be some highs, some lows, and you can't get too high for the highs and too low for the lows. But in an unbalanced environment, they don't get the contrast. They never see that contrast. They never experience it, and they're never made to live that contrast. So you have to create that type of environment. And again, you pick and choose your spots as a parent. You got to pick and choose your spots to turn up and do your thing. And again, I think you should be able to, as a parent. Every parent need a break. Ain't nobody saying you can't go off for the weekend and cut all the way loose. I think you should every now and then. Yes, you should. Yes, you should, baby. Yes, you should. You should. Because parenting is a full-time job. So if you can get a vacation for a couple of days, why not? But if you know your friends, you didn't accept your child as a friend on social media, which I don't know why you would do that. You can't post the turn up pictures with you down in the DR doing all of that stuff. You can't do that. You just can't. I mean, I know you want to post the picture because you had that swimsuit on that was killing them. you might can't post that. Dude, I know you was down there in Jamaica and you had about 4, 5 fine chicks all jocking you or whatever. Yeah, you can't post them pictures, Dad. You can't post some pictures. Now your son think he's supposed to be a hoe his whole life. You can't. So Daddy, you don't get off the hook, and Mama, you don't get off the hook. But nobody saying you couldn't do it. You just ain't always got to advertise that you did it. And that is it. All right. Get up out of here. Appreciate you, Stu. I see you chiming in. I see Michael Gilstrap, Monique. I see you. Appreciate y'all chiming in. Every Tuesday we here. I was having a little technical difficulties. But every Tuesday, new episode every Tuesday. Typically 8:00. So every Tuesday, 8:00. Come hang out, kick it, join the conversation. So next week we'll be on time. And if you want to get the opportunity to feedback and pop up and say something, just let me know. I'll make sure you get a link so you actually can sit in studio virtually. And if you got something to say, you can say it. Till then, next week, we'll holler at y'all. Y'all be easy.